put more in than you think you need. Have you had cake class?
No.
Well, this isn't anything like it, but it's cinnamon smear. It's butter and brown sugar and honey. So you just make a little, it'll caramelize the roll. You know, like the sticky pecan buns? So you want to have everything ready before you come to the table. That tub over there has the cinnamon sugar, the cinnamon roll filling. And we'll just make these things as we need them and have them around. Instead of each group making it, we'll make enough for the whole room. Because it's just a very simple process of just combining ingredients. Okay. Can you grab the pecans for me? I have them out somewhere. Guys, I've got to tell you, I know other classes keep this here. I think it's disgusting because when you dry your hands, you blow it all over the towels and then use the towels to wipe something, so not a good place. We'll worry about it after this. All right. I'm not going to make a little star, but I want it to be plentiful. I do not chop the nuts. I think whole pieces of nuts give you the perception of value. These look like they've been mangled a little bit. You don't want to make two layers because you have this pan. It sits on another pan. So you have the sheet pan, this pan, the smear, then the nut, then the dough. So it's really difficult for the product to bake all the way through. This is a very tricky bake. And I'm sorry to pull you away from getting your stuff done. I have one idea. What if I mix one big batch of sweet dough in the mixer as a group, and I'll scale that while you guys are mixing your Danish, so you don't have to, and we'll just mix it all together, because you saw it, right? You could do it. All right, that's ready. We have the cinnamon sugar, we have the yardstick, we have the knife. We take this, we go to the sheeter. We have some sheet pans with parchment, good. This is sweet dough that I made yesterday. Always make it a day ahead too. When you refrigerate these doughs, they're more relaxed, they're colder, the fats are firm, it's easier to handle. I'll compare this to really thinking. Over here. Piece of dough as long as it is wide. Remember to push this back, get it down.
That.
I'm the Chuck Norris of dough. It will not get away from me.
Oh.
I can promise you that. All right, open this all the way up. Slightly longer. This dough isn't nearly as elastic as the Danish. It won't shrink quite as much. All right, I'm going to about 3. Well, exactly 3, actually. Double click. Flour it because it's getting thin. back through one more time. Fold it in half this way. Got a little funky monkey going on there. From either the sheet pan or the sheeter. Looks like the sheeter, huh? All right, to the table. This will not take too long, guys. Knife. Can you grab that big bin of cinnamon sugar for me, please?
All right, next.
The brown one, yeah. That is butter, brown sugar, flour, and cinnamon. Recipe is in your book under fillings. But again, we'll just make enough to make everybody happy. I don't like keeping this stuff in the refrigerator. This was in the refrigerator. You have to kind of deal with it like this when it was. And the smear was in the fridge, and I would prefer to make it fresh and use it, but that's the way it goes sometimes. Starting day 3, we will have food available at 6 o'clock in the takeout. I can't think of what it's called. Self-service in the Centos. That you can grab a bite to eat, but we can't let it interfere with what we're doing, guys. So you'll take a paper plate or something, and you'll run down there and you'll get it, and you'll put it in the blender and slam it. I mean, we don't have to go. It's available. And I don't... What? Days 3 through 9. Next Wednesday, we have DVC.
Oh yeah, the Elizabeth Faulkner.
Yeah.
There's a chef.
Distinguished visiting chef. She's
A pastry.
She's from San Francisco. She had a place called Citizen Cake and a restaurant called Orson. Something has happened where it's no longer open. Again, probably either she had backers and they pulled out, or it's more than just being a great baker, guys. It's a lot of business decisions get made. And the more fiduciary responsibility you have, the more likely you are to have a job or keep your business open. I'm not pressing this flat. Some people do. I don't like it when it's flat. It gets hard. You get too much sugar in there and it just burns and it's not the same. And if you notice, I've got a few gaps. I don't worry about it because when I roll it up, it'll just fill in, right? Say, yeah, it'll save time. Make sure this seam is good and on the bottom. When you cut through, and you still might have to jockey with it a bit. Thank you. 2 inches again. Sheet pans, please. Thank you. I'm going to take one for this. Okay, I am not going to press these flat even though they're sticking up, but what I will do is make sure that they're sitting straight. Tops, please. Cinnamon rolls. 2 kinds of people in the world. The ones that like it all baked together, like the place in the mall that makes that crap. I don't want to say Obama pan or whatever it is. Cinnabon, because that wouldn't be fair to mention any names, but I prefer, I'm a baker. I like to eat baked dough, not fluff. So I spread them out. If you want, you could go a little closer. And they'll just barely touch and you'll get them all in. And the reason I am this way is I had a bakery for 6 years and people, we had a sheet pan and oven crunch. Everything had to be full when it went in. Every pan, everything had to count. And I baked them in full sheets. I actually buttered the sheet pan, baked them on a buttered sheet pan, had another buttered sheet pan for when they came out. Buttered the top. No, I flipped it, put the buttered sheet pan underneath the sheet pan they baked, or they baked on a buttered sheet pan. I had another buttered sheet pan. After they baked, I flipped it onto a plain sheet pan upside down so I could flip them back onto a newly buttered sheet pan so they wouldn't stick. Then I would butter the tops and I would do everything. I was given great value and great product. People would come in, I want the one in the middle. Well, you know, you can wait until we get there, or you can fill in the blank. That one's kind of wimpy, but we'll bake it. It's an employee meal, huh? So we'll see where we are with these. We might have to tighten them up a bit. All right, when you have one like this, it's uncooperative. Take this and tuck it under. Like that. All I did was take that end and just bring it under. A lot of times these open up a little bit, we just push them back together. That's the one thing, when you bake them all together, you don't have that problem. If you do that, you'd probably bake about 5 with the same amount of space between that way. There's nothing wrong with doing that. I just don't like it. All right, this, what could you do with it? Yeah, I guess. You could also use it as pre-ferment, right? Like if you're making more sweet dough. You'd save it, but you'd have a little bit of this stuff in your dough. But would that be such a bad thing? No,
Cinnamon sticks.
not in a huge chunk of dough. So you could put this in a Cambro or a food bag right now, shake all the sugar out, then you would put it in there and you would mix, and towards the end of your mix, after the butter's in, or right towards the end, you would add it, because this dough's fully developed. And if you add fully developed dough in the beginning, your dough's going to be overdeveloped. All right, now you can go make your stuff. And I think, guys, you have enough time to mix Danish and sweet. You really do. And have